Okay. We're doing, my name is George Pena, this is Austin Solmo, and we're doing a project on Baton Rouge law enforcement and organized task in crime prevention. So again, we're looking at our crime data sets from 2011 2017. We're looking at any trends that there might be, and as we stated before, we're trying to predict for 2018, and of course the people that are of interest would be the mayor, police department, and residents of Baton Rouge. The goals and objectives have stayed the same. We've already talked about these, and we'll touch on these further on the next slides. The data sources, nothing's changed. We're still using the same data that we had already pre-processed and cleaned, so nothing's changed here. Okay, so here we can see crime in Baton Rouge by year. So basically, we see that red indicates higher crime. And then the blue is lower, and then white, of course, is even lower than that. So what we see is in 2011, there was the highest crime rate that we've seen. 2012 to 2016, we see a decrease in time, or a decrease in crime. This could be due, we contacted the Baton Rouge reporters, this could be due to a task force called BRAVE that was initiated to help decrease crime. Also, we see the lowest crime in 2016, and this is due to the fact, after we contacted the reporters as well, is that there was a major flood during this time period, and they say during that time, a lot of people had to be relocated, so there was that's pretty much it. And also in 2018, that'll be our estimate, and that's plus or minus, that's plus or minus 5,000. Okay. So if we go by crime by month, by year, we had shown you all this previously before. 2011 again is the worst. Here we see that during the colder months there's less crime, and during the hotter months there's more crime. Generally we're seeing a decrease in crime, and then in 2017 we're seeing it go back up again. But besides of course if you look over here in April of 2016, this is whenever the flood actually happened. So that could account for why. And these are our current predictions, which kind of seem a little bit off. But again, we're looking. Our models will show that later. Okay, so here we're predicting crime in 2018 by month. So we did a forecast. We did forecasting on time series modeling here. So as you can see, the green is the actual crime that's happening, and what the forecasts are yellow is what we're actually predicting, and the average crime is is this blue line. So as we see, we're starting off pretty high here with 5,000, 6,000. Crimes happening in 2011 per month, and then we're still seeing a decrease over time, and our forecast says it should be decreasing even further as we go into 2018, and these are some prediction values that we gave to you on the previous slides. So if we're breaking down crime by day and by year, we see that Friday over here was we have the highest crime rates, pretty much during the weekends. And again, here in 2016, we see, lower crimes. And again, we're attributing that to flooding. And, we're predicting that, crime should be going down as we're going into 2018, as shown by this model right here. So basically, we're predicting crime by day now. We still have the same legend, same thing applies. So what we see is, we have a steady, right now it's over here, it's basically staying pretty steady. There's not much change, throughout the days as we see. But we do have lower highs and lower lows as we're seeing. So for example, if we're going up here, it's increasing, we see a decreasing, increase, decrease, increase, decrease, and it looks like we're still, whenever we forecast it, it looks like eventually, we're maybe going in a downward trend for 2018. Okay, so we had shown you all this before. The most dangerous times, are going to be right here, and also during this time period as well. And then again, we'll show you the forecast for how we got this as well. And this may actually be our most accurate forecast. Those numbers tend to look a little bit like these numbers over here. So this may be our most predictive model yet. And here you can see very nicely how we have a lot of crimes during these hours that we had mentioned before, during the early hours, and then we see it drop down low whenever it's about like 6-7 p.m. But then we see it rise again once we're already going into the midnight hours. So we have a nice it just keeps going, oscillating up and down, and as we see here, it's our forecast and our actuals doing pretty good. It's pretty much overlapping, and we're still going to probably be seeing the same patterns happen in 2018. Okay, so hence, yes, time is a factor. We just saw that with the previous graph. So from from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, stay away, and also stay away. Get off the streets of Baton Rouge at around that. And okay, so crime by shift by year. Here we're seeing is that there's less crimes in the we're seeing here that there's less crimes in the AM, more crimes in the PM. Middle's pretty stable. Again, in 2016 we see the lowest pretty much for every category, which we had explained already. And so AM is from 12 to 8. And mid is from 8 to 4, and the other one, PM, is 4 to 12. And so in the PM we see, PM is clearly 2 times more almost for every single one of those categories. And of course this is what we're predicting for the future, so we're seeing crime hopefully decrease. Here, just again, that kind of goes back to what we're looking at. You see AM, low crimes, and then, we shoots up, and then, it shoots back down. So it's oscillating again, just like in the previous graphs. And, our forecast, again, we're still pretty close, and it looks like, the AM and PM is going there. So it looks here, it looks like it's going a little bit up. It's been it was going down, it looks like, but now it looks like it's kind of increasing again for 2018. So we'll see how that ends up working. By district, so clearly District 1 all across is, we had already mentioned this, is gonna have the most crime. Same thing with District 2, all across most crime. And District 3 and 4, it's significantly lower. It's almost half that for certain districts. And so we have for 7 years total, and here we're seeing that, I'll show you in the forecast again as well, we're predicting that crime's going to go, decrease. So, okay. So here in the forecast, in our time series, what we see by going through, we're looking at districts 1, 2, 3, and 4. Districts 1 and 2, as you see, 1 and 2, those are the highest ones. 3 and 4, those have lower crimes. It's almost a difference of about 5,000 or so, but we're still seeing the same pattern. District 1 and 2 are always still up top, 3 and 4 are still at the bottom, and our forecast still shows over here, 1 and 2 is probably going to still be at the top, 3 and 4 is probably going to still be at the bottom as we're going forward. Okay, here what we see is, we had broken this down and shown this to you earlier, but now we kind of made it a little bit more prettier. So basically, during May, Fridays and Thursdays, those are the days that are the most dangerous, have the highest crime rates. As far Mondays, that's fine. So basically, March through August, are probably the safest ones, and November through February, maybe the actually November through February are the safest ones, while these other ones are the most dangerous. So the colder months are safer. These ones are less. Just to go here really quick, we had already just kind of described this anomaly. So they don't categorize. So in other, we're not too sure what exactly is in this variable, but we see it decreasing. We think maybe it's because of classification issues. So maybe they're classifying crimes better now. Also, rape is not. We didn't have that variable in here, but that could be in other words. Not they didn't want to make that information public to us. So we believe that is happening. What we see here, though, in 2016 and 2018 or 2016 in general is that. Is the increase in firearm and homicide, a big increase, and that has to do with the shooting of Officer Sterling, and so has to do with Officer Sterling, and so so even though that was our lowest crime year overall, because of that flooding issue, after that incident happened, there was a lot of tension between the police department and others. Okay, so here's a quick heat map of Baton Rouge crime. So what we want to clearly show you right here is that as you can see, there's a kind of like a divide right here. Something's happening here, and we see it again, kind of like cut off right here, and it's also right here. This is considered Route 67, and it corresponds, we can see it clearly here on the map, so something's happening once you get to Route 67, it's pretty dangerous around that area. And also, whenever you get to right here, this Florida Street Boulevard, you do not want to be on this Florida Street Boulevard at all. So those kind of divide the districts 1 and 2. And yeah, there's a lot of overlap between, districts 1 and 2, as you can see, on the map right here. So... And again, just putting it really quickly, District 1, 19 of the top sub districts within there had the highest crime, and then you don't see anything else until you hit actually District 2. None of the other 2 districts are in there. So we might want community resources there. And maybe that'll help increase or allocate more resources to each of these areas right here in District 1 and District 2. So, okay, so over here what we can see is we have different crimes, but right now it's a little bit messy. If we, let's say we want to go to only see battery, it's still kind of scattered about. But if we can go on to other categories such as if we want to see homicide, a lot of crimes happening right here. And again, this is the Florida Street Boulevard, so you kind of want to stay off this area. And just really quick, if we can break this down later after the presentation, but looks like theft is happening just everywhere. So stay away from that, but it's really centralized, as you see on this highway that we had mentioned earlier, and also this is the District 1 area, and District 1 and District 2 areas, so you kind of want to stay away from there because up here there's really not that much. And here we can, if we want to, let's say we can go to instead of that, let's just go to January instead. And we can see different crimes as well. And if we want to go to, let's say, sort of Friday, we can give them a better picture and do, Sunday, and just see different shifts again. So if we want to go to, again, let's say, narcotics, we can, and that'll give them a better place to know, hey, during this time, I should probably deploy my people here. Homicide, just be aware of it. And Yeah, so this is basically just showing, and this will help the police department make better choices as far whenever we actually, we can give this to them, and they can specify certain times of day, and they can actually go in and deploy units or be more aware of it. So. Okay, so as we see, we said that criminals don't like the cold. We see the lowest crimes whenever it is really cold, and we see, as you see, as temperature increases, well, so do the amount of murders happening increase as well. So we see that during the holidays, it's statistically significant. During holidays, there's actually less crimes, and there's a higher number of crimes during the no holiday days. And just be careful of the N. It could be a little bit biased, and so we have 14 incidents on average as a difference as we go about that. Here again, what we see is, I showed this earlier, about football games, and pretty much, there's like a 10-fold crime difference if it's if it's home or no game, and yeah. Yeah, and it could be due to unequal variance because we have 2,000 that we have a really high number of that, and not too many of those. So the no game may be a factor to be taken into consideration. What we ended up seeing, though, surprisingly, is that we would think that team loses, maybe we will get higher crimes, but no, there's no difference between lost or won. Okay, so some factors to consider. Maybe police should change, their practices. Also, the Ferguson effect. We also had the fatal shooting of Alton Sterling. That kind of impacted our model on 2016. So, maybe there's more tension now between the residents and police after talking to reporters. And also the base salary, $33,000. I mean, that's nobody's gonna want that job. So maybe that's why there's staff shortage. And also, just recently, there's a dismantling of Brave, of the Brave program, and so pretty much a Brave program is what I talked about earlier from 2012 to 2016. And the Brave program, what it did was it was a task force, to try to help and prevent crime, but there was a little bit of scandal at the end. They had leftover money, they couldn't account for it, and So as far as another big factor is poverty and unemployment. So poverty and unemployment play a huge role. We heard that these districts are clearly divided, and increased programs for education, and also maybe the police officers can go in and do some more community service work as well. This is something that we heard from the reporters that they're trying to do, so maybe that'll decrease the crime. Any questions?